Hello, my name is Steve Querner. This video is a continuation of my IRONCLADS Aether FLYERS project. Redesigning the USS Monitor, USS Virginia, and H.L. Huntley using the game system IRONCLADS and Aether FLYERS. I have, in the previous videos, talked about skills, map skills for the game system, and I did a video of my recalculation of that for my PRISMA3D project, but I destroyed that video, so I'm just going to go just highlight what I did for the recalculation of that. The campaign, so within the game system, you have a campaign hex, map hex, which is this. Each campaign hex is 200 miles, and within the game system you have Warship designs. Each hull size, which would be a hex, is 50 feet. So to match those two together, I came up with how to scale the campaign map to the hull size hex map. So the campaign map is 200 miles per hex. The ship movement, the movement rates of the ships is 5 miles per hex. And the campaign battle scenarios, when you're doing this, when ships engaging combat, that map is 1 hex per cable, which is 200 miles, 200 yards, and which is basically 600 feet, which is 1/10 of a mile, nautical mile. So what I did was I calculated I decided to come up with 5 miles hex for the for representing movement points on the campaign map, and for the movement point calculations also did the 1 mile hex, and then with the 1 mile hex you have the cables per hex, cable movement, and then within that, the cable hex, you have the hull size hex, which is 50 feet per hex. So then I decided to, within the PRISMA3D application, I did the where is it? Okay. Within PRISMA3D, I did a hex settings, but I changed everything. I created I simulated the and that's so now this is within the original project, I only had one 2-hull mechs, circle hex, and it took up the entire screen. So what I did was I did the recalculations of these, of the hex scales, to get these multiple hexes on the 200 mile. So instead of just one, I have now 6 200 mile hexes of 7. So you can go from here to there, or here to there, and to represent movement, to see how big of a map I can get. So basically, I have what PRISMA3D can do on this is 1 hex, and then you got this area, small area. That's how big that is, represents within the, which kind of sucks. But I'm the creator of the Flower Project Man spacecraft design concept, and the model, the flower chart, the real life battleship model. The flower chart model is based on that, the real life battleship model, for Mars colony spacecraft design. So you're looking at, which is what, 896 feet, 863 feet in length, 128 feet beam, and 38-foot bow plus 48-foot 38-foot draft plus 50-foot 48-foot bow freeboard, 24-foot bow midship freeboard, and either 36 feet or 38 feet stern freeboard, with a medium freeboard of 36 or 38 feet. You can do the calculations, know which one's which. I didn't do the calculations, and so I get confused about which is which. And I saw those numbers back in 1984, 1985, during my high school years, and I got confused about the hull shape, because I've always thought that the deck was at even keel from bow to stern, and except for the bow would tilt up a little bit. So the fact that the midships and the stern freeboards were different heights threw me off, and so I got confused about what the medium height was, which one's the medium and which one's the median height freeboard, and what was the stern freeboard. So so my flower chart project, I use 50-foot freeboard for the bow. So most of my flower chart project model hulls is 863 feet by 128 feet by 88 feet. Other flower chart projects, your models that I have, they can go. One project has 35 feet draft and 35 feet freeboard for height. I've used that a few times and I've used that on Blender for simplicity, mathematical simplicity. Some lengths would be 1,000 feet, and some beams are like 200, would be 200 feet. Some beams were 100 feet. On various projects that I've done over the years with Blender and with PRISMA3D. So, but there's variations in the hull volume that I use for the flower chart project, your model. But the base numbers that I use is 38 feet draft, 50-foot freeboard, 863 length, 128 feet beam. That's standard. And that hull size for Prisma3D is too big. You zoom out a little bit and you're missing, you get the graphics cuts off portions of the hull. You look from the bow to the stern, you can't get a full length. You have to be very close. You zoom out at a decent distance, and you're missing the hull vanishes. Portions of the hull goes bye-bye. So Prisma3D is really too weak for what I want to do with the FLYERS project. And this, so you're going, if you want to do a map, game map with for this game system, you're going to have two different maps. The 200 feet scale that I'm using is inadequate for game maps, so you're going to have to scale down. So let's see here, what do we got? Vortex map, movement. So 200 feet by 100 feet. Not that one. That one. Wait a minute. Movement. Okay, it's 205. Okay, 205. So you're off by 205, and it's 240. So you minus what? So minus 120. Okay. So 20. So that's 15. 15. So you're 240 times 3, subtract 30. 240 times 3, that's 720, minus 30, that's 690. Yeah. So you basically got yeah, look at, that's awful. That's, anyway. You got no range. Not even. So there's absolutely no range. And so that's about 700 units, scale units. And it's, you know, so if you want to do a campaign map, yeah, divide by, yeah, go like 600 units divided by whatever numbers you got going here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's that's 550 blocks by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1,000, yeah, 13 times 100. $13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, times 11 times 55. 11 times 50. That's 500. Okay, 550. 13 times 50. That's 650 blocks this way. Yeah, 650 blocks this way and 550 blocks that way. Units, I mean. Very not, you don't have a lot to play with. And zoom in and zoom out. So, yeah, PRISMA3D is pretty weak. So, for visual graphics, unless you're doing real small things, and then, and doing very close-up stuff. So, based on all the calculations, 200 miles per hex, 5 miles for ship movement on, you got 5 miles, so that's 40 hexes per for ship movement. 5 hex, you got 40 hexes into one campaign map. The 1 mile hex, there's 5 hexes in a 5 mile hex, and that 1 mile hex is for the cable movement, in which you have 10 hexes per ship movement. Okay, you got 10 hexes per mile map unit, and then you have 50 feet per 600 feet cable hex, so that gives you 12 hexes per cable movement. Going through the calculations, doing the calculations, it came up with 1 times 40 is 4 times 5 times 10 times 12, so that's 24,000 hexes units. And for the PRISMA3D visual graphics, I added 10. So you have a whole number, a 3-digit whole number, and 3 decimal places. And so, in which it went down, so that comes up with 24.000 scale, 24.00, divided that by 12, you have 2,000, divided by, so that's 2,400. 2,400 divided by the campaign. Okay, 2,400 divided by 40 gives you 6,000. 24,000 divided by 40 gives you 6,000. 6,000 divided by 5 gives you 1,200. 1,200 divided by 10 is 120. And 120 divided by 12 is 10. So decimal 10. So it got, instead of 2, so it's 24, instead of 24,000, 240,000, it's 24. Instead of 6,000, it's 6. Instead of 1,200, it's 1.2. Instead of 120, 20, it's 0.120, and instead of 10, it's 0.01. And that's the scale. So then I went on here, I said 240 with scale of 0. This would be the smallest unit, would be for the thinness of the sphere. And then that would be, but I changed the, so let's see here. So, scale is 24 units by 0.01 unit. Okay, so, okay, hopefully they won't die on me now. Tablet has no battery space anymore. Okay, there we go. Doing this on the fly. So, scale of 240 with a thickness of 0.010. Then I go to, okay, this. So the next, the campaign movement of 5 miles is divided by 40, which is really small, is what, so that's what that looks like. Not combat. Road hex. And the scale of that is no, not the road hex. Campaign movement hex. Okay, so this is the campaign movement hex. Since they're all centered, they're going to, and then okay, so the royal hex is 0.01 thickness, and then the campaign hex is 0.03. And you go like that, you can see the difference. And then the scenario hex, which is the campaign, not the combat scene map, which is the blue here, the darker. That is, come on, one thick, one unit thick. And then you have the cable hex, combat movement hex, which is 1.5 units thick. And that is the, I'll clarify, easy, that's this dark blue there. And then you have the ship hull size hex, which is this little thin, and that scale is 2 units. So the combat map and the world, you need to actually have 2 different maps for Prisma3D. If you want to put it on graphics, you need to have the world map hex, and then you're going to need to have a combat scenario hex. The campaign map, and then you're going to have the scenario battle map, which is the ship movement combat map. And that would be basically, get all that. And that would be this, that, and that. And nope, get all that. Yeah. So that's what that's all about. Let's exit. If the tablet dies, it dies. Don't need it anymore. And so that's what this is about. And so that's it for this video.